Welcome to U.S. Law Shield News. My name is Sam Malone. Obviously, just taking over the headlines, our President Donald Trump nominated Neal Gorsuch of Colorado, the 10th Circuit judge, to the United States Supreme Court. A lot of people want to know, Neal Gorsuch, who is he, and where does he stand on certain issues, especially Second Amendment and Fourth Amendment? Go to the expert. Michele Byington standing by, U.S. Law Shield via Skype. Michele, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking.
All right, a lot of people want to know, Neal Gorsuch, where does he stand on issues like, and we'll start with Second Amendment issues. Take it away. You're the lawyer. You're the bright one on this set. Go.
I mean, let's take it easy, Sam. But yes, there have been several Second Amendment groups have come out and endorsed Mr. Gorsuch as our next Supreme Court judge, which is always a good sign. However, his track record, by that, I mean the opinions he has written and speaking to directly Second Amendment rights are quite sparse. However, due to his sort of originalist take that he does analyze the Constitution with, meaning that he looks at the text and says, would our forefathers have meant this when they wrote this specific amendment, like the Second Amendment shall not be infringed? He would say, well, because it says shall not be infringed, therefore that's what our forefathers intended, and that's how I will rule. However, we don't have any court cases specifically that back that up at this point.
But I guess as part of the legal staff there at U.S. Law Shield, I guess what you're saying is you've seen his opinions on parallel, perhaps, issues, not necessarily Second Amendment issue, and therefore, if he goes by the letters and the words in that beautiful document, the Constitution, you feel he would be a strong advocate for the Second Amendment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we can see that in some decisions that he has come down on, that he has said, hey, I want to look at the text and do what our forefathers intended. And it's also come out that he was quite the understudy of the late Justice Scalia. So if he takes any sort of page out of Justice Scalia's book, then we will know that he will definitely be a Second Amendment advocate.
Outstanding. Michele Byington, part of the legal team of U.S. Law Shield. What about Fourth Amendment issues involving 10th Circuit Judge Neal Gorsuch? Is there anything in that field that should maybe raise a red flag?
So this is an interesting one. So there was a case that he did rule on, which some people may feel a little uncomfortable with. And for those of us who are not complete constitutional nerds like ourselves, the Fourth Amendment is that amendment that says that you are free from unreasonable searches and seizures carried out by government agents. So this is what stops the police from breaking down your door and saying, let me look at everything in your house. The Fourth Amendment is what protects you. Now, with that said, Gorsuch did come down on an opinion that did have to do with somebody's gun rights that also sort of brought in a Fourth Amendment issue. So the quick and dirty facts there were that a police officer came into a convenience store to, who knows, get some donuts, let's say, walked into a convenience store to grab some delicious donuts and saw one of the employees had a handgun in his waistband that had become unconcealed when he did a kind of a furtive movement, like he was putting things back on the shelf, and then there was an accidental display of the handgun. So the officer then says, hey man, why don't you step outside and talk to me? And the employee then said, whoa, what have I done wrong? The officer then insisted that they go outside and have a chat, and upon exiting the convenience store, his handgun was then seized by the police officer. Now, the defendant in that case happened to have been a felon who was committing a crime of a felon in possession of that firearm. So he did not legally have that handgun. However, his argument was, this police officer had no right to disarm me just by the mere fact of seeing this gun. The fact that he saw the gun does not give him any sort of reasonable suspicion that I am in fact committing a crime, which he was. But Gorsuch did agree with the majority of that opinion and stated that this was a good search and it was a good seizure because the mere fact of seeing the handgun could give rise that this individual was committing a crime, give that reasonable suspicion specifically. So kind of a lot of wiggle room right there with the Fourth Amendment. Scalia, I would have definitely dissented to this and said, nope, this is a bad search, throw it out, dismiss this case. So he did kind of have a contradictory opinion with Scalia on this issue.
Michele Byington, part of the legal team at U.S. Law Shield. This is U.S. Law Shield News. So in conclusion, Neal Gorsuch, let's say from a 1 to 10, and 10 is a Scalia, okay, and 1 is a Ruth Bader Ginsburg when it comes to embracing the Constitution, especially the Second Amendment. Where would
I love your scale. I love it.
This is what we do. It's what we do. You're the lawyer. I'm the host on the TV side. Where would you put Neal Gorsuch? A 10 is Scalia, a 1 is a Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I'm going to give him a 9.
Wow.
I know.
That's strong.
That's a bold statement. Bold. But I think, he's the textualist and the originalist that he is, that he looks at word for word of the Constitution and says, what did our founding fathers want? I love that. And so I'm going to give him a 9, even though I somewhat disagree with him on the case that he did rule on that we previously discussed.
9 out of 10 is strong. Michele Byington, legal at U.S. Law Shield. Thanks for stopping by and joining us on the program.
Thanks, Sam.
I'm Sam Malone. That's U.S. Law Shield News.